Good morning, children. Welcome back to today's session. Children, in the last class, I introduced to you a new topic, food gathering to food growing. But we learnt only about the food gathering, not about the food growing. Under the food gathering, how the early man tried to gather the food, we tried to understand. So, under that, we have seen what are the edible fruits available in the forest, how do they gather them, whether they eat raw food or not, whether they have the knowledge of eating fruit by peeling it off. So each fruit has its a different way of eating. Some fruits outer layer should be eaten and inner layer should be thrown out. Some fruits outer layer should be thrown out and inner layer should be eaten. So likewise, we also try to understand about hunting even. Hunting in the sense, what is the behavior of the animal, you should know it perfectly before you hunt, and how dangerous the animal is, and what what body part is useful for us, whether we can eat it or not. This knowledge is required in order to hunt. So today we shall learn about a few things about the tools what they have used. So those tools are the stone tools, because all their tools. What are tools, children? Tools mean, what are tools? Have you ever go to your kitchen? In kitchen, do we find any tools to cut the to chop the vegetables or to cut the meat? You find any kind of tools there? Knife, you find it? Even fork. These all are the tools we call. So these tools are made up of stone, because they don't have the knowledge of the metals that time. Iron, steel, they don't have that knowledge. They were the early man. So let us learn about the stone tools today, which were used by the early man. And apart from that, we shall also learn about the fire, the knowledge of fire. Of course, in the earlier class, I told you that they don't have the knowledge of fire. They used to eat raw meat, or the raw food they used to take. But later, after few years, they have even got the knowledge of fire. So about this knowledge of fire we see, and even the kind of life they lead was called as a nomadic life. So we learn about these three things in today's class, about the stone tools, about the fire, and about the nomadic life. Coming to the stone tools, children, today we use many kinds of machines like tractors, or the tools made up of steel and iron. But the earliest people also used tools, but these tools were not made up of metals, but they are made up of stones, or made up of bone. Okay, bones are made up of wood, which are naturally available. So with the help of the stones they made, with the help of the bones they made these, and with the help of the wood they made these tools. So what kind of tools? Which are very sharpened, you know. Initially large stones were chopped. They were cut down and made sharp edges, and by chipping them with another stone, and later this tool enabled them to cut the fish, what we call flesh, to cut the flesh of the animals. It was very easy, because have you ever seen stone? Once you cut it, it will be very sharp on the edges. Even sometimes your fingers get cut when you roll on it. So this kind of stones, very sharp and very strong, and the tools which enable them to dig the earth for tubers and hunt animals, such kind of tools they started making with the help of the stones. After thousands of years, what happened? They enabled to make small sharp pieces from hard stone, and those are called as microliths. They are called as microliths. This is one of the most important term, children, microliths. This is one of the most important term. Microliths mean the tools which are made up of stone, which were used some thousands of years ago in order to cut the flesh, to dig the earth, to find the tubers. Those kind of tools are called as microliths. What are they called as? Microliths. So they were fixed to wooden or to the bone handles in order to carry them very easily. They were fixed to the handle. You know it very well. Even our duster will have a handle. Can you see this duster? This duster has handle. Can you see this handle? Handle where we can catch it very easily. So such kind of handles were made up of wooden or with the help of the bone, which can be easily handled. Such kind of things were made by them in order to serve as a knives, arrows, sickles. These were made by them. These weapons were used to dig the soil, to chop the trees for bark, because bark was used for covering their bodies. Bark, you know what is a bark? Am I using a new word, bark? The outer layer of a tree is called as a bark. Tree has a outer layer, isn't it? Even with the hands also we sometimes remove it. That's called as a bark. So those bark are otherwise to clean the skin of an animal also they use. They make clothes from the skins of the animals. They cut the meat. Even the bones also they cut. And they chop the fruits. Do you help your mother in chopping the fruits? Do you eat fruits? Chopping in the sense, what is chopping here? Chopping. Chopping means cutting. Cutting. So to cut the fruits, they use these stones which are sharp edges, and they even have the handles made up of wooden or with the bones. So these stones pictures are given in the textbook, children. You can see them. Okay, the sickle picture or the picture of the sharp tools which are given there are found at Amrabad in Nagar Karnool while excavating. You can see that picture even. So you want me to show those pictures? See, these are the microliths. These are the microliths. Okay, it's like a sickle. So these are the microliths, children. And coming to these stones are actually of the early people have survived to this day, because stone doesn't get decayed. If it is iron, iron gets rust, but whereas stone doesn't gather any moss. So even though they were used some thousands of years ago, while excavation means, what is excavation, children? Excavation means digging. The archaeologists will dig a place in order to find what kind of tools were used by them, what kind of material was used by them, or these forts and temples were found in excavation, digging the earth. So under that process, they found these tools like stone tools and made up of bone and even with the wooden things. And in the areas where the people lived, they were studying these tools and locations where they were found. And to this day, even Amrabad in Nagar Karnool district of Telangana region, we have found that. And coming to the fire, the second point is the fire. Fire brought many changes in the world, children. Fire is the most important invention in the entire human civilization. We are today living a very comfortable life only because of the fire. If there is no fire, we should eat very raw food. You imagine a day without fire. If your mother doesn't cook over the stove, that's the fire, isn't it? Today we have got matchboxes and what we call lighters. But whereas in olden days, that fire knowledge was not there. So the discovery of fire by the early people brought great changes in their lives also. And probably they made fire by hitting two stones. By hitting two stones, the spark has come out, and that was the initial stage of fire. By rubbing two wood sticks or by beating two stones, they created the fire. They discovered the fire. Fire enabled them to eat roasted meat. So after the discovery of the fire, they started roasting their meat. Previously they ate very raw food, but now they started eating very comfortably the kind of food, as you all know, that a roasted meat they were eating. And this was the beginning of the cooked food. What we are eating today is the beginning of the cooked food. And they also used it to they also used fire to keep the wild animals away from them, because in the forest you don't know from which side which animal, wild animals, even lion, tiger, many kind of animals will be moving here and there. So those animals, in order to protect themselves from them, they used to keep the fire. And even to light the caves, because caves doesn't have in the night time light. So in order to keep light in the caves also, they used this fire. And wood was often heated on fire to harden it for the use. Even wood, in order to become hard, they used to make it on the fire, heated up, so that the wood becomes very strong. This is how the fire has transformed the life of the earlier people. Now let us see about the nomadic life. So this nomadic, not nomadic, I have written it here, nomadic, it's the nomadic life. Nomadic means the people who doesn't lead a settled life. Settled means being at one place, okay, finding their food there itself. Now we all are living at the settled place. You people living in your houses, whether you change every day from one place to another place? No, we live at the same place. But whereas these early people doesn't have any house or any shelter, okay, to settle, to lead a settled life. They used to move in search of food from one place to another place. So the migration of the people from one place to another place is called as nomadic. The earliest people used to live in the small groups. They lived in small groups, and they used to live under the trees, under the caves they used to live, and they did not build houses because they don't have the knowledge of houses. Today we are building multi-storied houses, but they don't have the knowledge of houses. As a result of that, they used to live in the caves, and these actually they led a mobile life. Mobile life in the sense moving from one place to another place constantly. So people who regularly move from one place to another place, they are called as nomads. What are they called, children? They are called as nomads. Nomads mean people who move from one place to another place are called as nomads. Am I clear, children? So today we learnt about the stone tools used by the early people, the fire discovery, as well as the nomadic life of the people. In tomorrow's class, we will further learn about many other things. Thank you, children.